Before stories were spoken aloud, before names were remembered through time, the world was quiet in a way humans no longer know. There were days and nights. There was work and rest. There was hunger and there was food. But there were no stories. No one gathered to listen. No one learned through tale or warning. Life happened, but it was not yet understood. All stories belong to Nyame, the sky god. High above the earth, beyond the reach of birds and clouds, Nyame kept the stories to himself. They lived in the sky, folded into the stars, woven through light, stored in silence. On the earth below, people lived without knowing why things were the way they were. When a child asked, "Why is the leopard spotted?" there was no answer. When a hunter asked, "Why must we be clever as well as strong?" there was no tale to explain it. And so life went on, quiet, unexamined. But not everyone accepted this silence. Among the creatures of the world lived Ananse, small in size, often overlooked, but never lacking thought. Ananse watched the people closely. He listened when they spoke. He noticed what they lacked. And he said to himself, "A world without stories is a world that does not remember itself." Ananse believed stories were not decorations. They were tools. They taught children how to think and adults how to survive. Stories warned. Stories explained. Stories reminded people that cleverness could be stronger than strength. And so Ananse made a decision. He would go to the sky. The journey was not simple. The sky was not meant to be reached. But Ananse was patient. He spun his web carefully, thread by thread, anchoring it to tree, stone, and wind. Each night the web climbed higher. Each morning Ananse climbed with it. The earth grew smaller beneath him. The clouds grew closer, until at last Ananse reached the sky. Nyame saw him before Ananse spoke. The sky god watched as the small trickster stood before his vast realm of light and cloud. Nyame did not look angry. He did not look surprised. He looked curious. "Ananse, why have you climbed where others have not?" Ananse bowed respectfully. "Great Nyame, I have come because the world below is silent." Nyame said nothing. "The people live, but they do not learn. They work, but they do not understand. The stories are locked in the sky and the earth is poorer for it." Nyame studied Ananse for a long moment. "You want my stories?" "Yes." Nyame smiled, not kindly, not cruelly. "No one has ever asked for them." "Then let me be the first." Nyame laughed, and the sound rolled like distant thunder. "Stories are powerful things, Ananse. They shape the mind. They travel farther than the body." Nyame leaned forward. "If I give them to you, what will you do with them?" Ananse did not hesitate. "I will let them walk among the people." Nyame's expression changed. "The challenge is set. If you want my stories, you must earn them." Nyame raised his hand and the sky itself seemed to listen. "Bring me 4 things." As he spoke, images appeared in the air. "Bring Hanini, the great python. Bring Imaboro, the hornets who fear nothing. Bring Asebo, the leopard who rules by strength. And bring Moatia, the forest dwarf who disappears at will." Ananse looked at the images carefully. "And one more thing." Nyame's voice became firm. "Bring your mother, Yansia, as witness to this agreement." Ananse paused. This was not part of his plan, but Ananse did not turn back. "I accept." Nyame nodded once. Then go. If you succeed, the stories will no longer belong to the sky alone. The clouds shifted. Ananse descended. As Ananse returned to the earth, he went first to his home. There, his wife Aso watched him silently as he paced. You have that look again. Nyame has set 4 tasks. Aso listened as Ananse explained. When he finished, she said nothing for a moment. You know these are not battles of strength. I know. Then you must not rush. Ananse nodded. Cleverness must walk slowly. Aso placed a hand on his arm. Then think carefully. The python listens. The hornets fear the sky. The leopard trusts power. And the dwarf reacts in anger. Ananse smiled. Then each will be met in their own way. And so Ananse set out, not with strength, not with weapons, but with patience and thought. The first trial awaited him. The forest was quiet when Ananse arrived. Too quiet. The trees stood tall and still, their roots thick and ancient. The ground was cool beneath his feet, pressed flat by time and weight. Birds watched from above, silent as though waiting. Across the path lay Ananse. The python's body stretched long and wide, coiled lazily across the forest floor. His scales caught the light, smooth and dark, moving gently as he breathed. He did not stir when Ananse approached. You rest across the path like a fallen tree. The python opened one slow eye. And who are you to notice? Ananse, a traveller, a listener. Ananse shifted slightly, amused. Then listen well. No one passes this way unless I allow it. Ananse nodded. That is exactly why I came. The python lifted his head, curious now. People argue about you. They do? Yes, they argue whether you are truly as long as you claim. Ananse straightened, pride stirring. There is no creature longer than I. Ananse tilted his head. Then it should be easy to prove. A branch lay nearby, long and straight. Ananse lifted it carefully. Lie beside this and the argument ends. The python hesitated only a moment before stretching himself out. His body aligned with the branch, scale by scale. Ananse moved slowly, tying a thin cord around one end. Hold still. Truth must be measured carefully. By the time the python realized the cord had become rope and the rope had become restraint, his body was already bound. You tricked me. I listened first. Ananse thrashed, but clever knots held firm. Ananse stepped back, breathing evenly. Strength rests. Cleverness works. And so the first task was complete. The air grew sharp as Ananse approached the clearing. A low hum filled the space, growing louder with each step. Imaboro lived here, hornets who feared nothing, who stung without warning. Ananse crouched, watching them circle their nest. The sky watches you. The buzzing paused. What sky? Ananse lifted a gourd filled with water. The one that sends rain. He poured water over the leaves above the nest. Droplets fell fast, loud against the earth. The rain is coming. The hornets panicked, swirling wildly. Shelter! Shelter! Ananse held out the gourd. Quickly, before the storm finds you. One by one, then many, the hornets rushed inside. When the last buzz disappeared, Ananse sealed the opening. The forest fell quiet again. Even fear can be guided. Esebo ruled the forest by power. His footprints mark the ground deeply, his presence announced by silence. Other creatures fled long before he arrived. Ananse dug the pit carefully, covering it with leaves and earth until it vanished into the forest floor. When the leopard fell, the sound shook the trees. Esebo roared, furious. "Who dares trap me?" Ananse peered down calmly. "Someone smaller than you." The leopard snarled. "Help me out and I will spare you." Ananse lowered a rope. "Step carefully. Even kings fall if they rush." As the leopard climbed, muscles straining, Ananse pulled the rope tight around him. Esebo froze. "This is dishonor." "Power without thought is loud but short." The leopard was bound. Mweta never stayed long in one place. He moved like a thought, appearing and vanishing between trees, laughing at danger. Ananse watched patiently. He placed a small figure on the path, a doll covered in sticky resin. When Mweta appeared and struck it in anger, his hand stuck fast. He pulled. His other hand struck. Now both were caught. He struggled, furious. "Let me go!" Ananse stepped forward. Anger reveals more than strength. Mweta vanished no further. Ananse returned with all four, and with Nyame. The sky opened once more. Nyame waited. The elders gathered. The air felt heavy with watching. Silence stretched. At last, the sky god spoke. "You have done what none have done." Ananse stood quietly. "These stories will no longer live only in the sky." The elders murmured. "They will walk among the people." The sky god lifted his hand. "From this day, they will be known as Ananse stories." The sky brightened, the stars shifted, and the stories fell, not as thunder, but as voice. Below, people gathered. They listened, they learned. Children asked questions, and answers came. The leopard was spotted, the spider was clever, the hornet feared the sky. And when a story began with wit and warning, people said, "Listen, this is an Ananse story."